Scheiße, ich denke, man, skål över de här strås, med avslutet, löstina ich mir an, så att det var ju både för henne. Vi hade stått med polisen och upp, och så var det så så ni svin sig till sig kvar. Men det är inte man, när jag flash då, så att ni skär då, så nog för det med att jag är så jag tar det, och så det men dig, så att ni får se hur så jag flyger ju med. Sen då, jag är ju samtidigt på den här så fort. Method. So you should get your type and your type is such a little bit type of thing within it. Yep. You're like, that's it. That's it. That's it. Yeah, that's it. So you don't know what it is. Yeah. Man. Yeah. What's up? Yeah, man. I'm running around very little on this. You know, you pick it up. You know, there's a set of everything you need to go.
So you were actually like hit by electricity through your home television?
Yes, and that's why.
Where? How did that happen? Where were you?
That's how I gained my powers.
You got some powers from that for sure.
Yeah.
So
I think that's how we got on Inside the Sulphurbath.
yeah. Well,
That's how it happened.
that's electricity for you.
Yeah.
So we'll have to explain that a little later, I think. Yeah. But hello and welcome to episode 13 of Inside the Sulphurbath.
Next week, how electricity works.
We're covering electricity. We were the camera went on right as we were discussing Blaine getting electrocuted through his television.
Mm-hmm.
Can you share the story again real quick with us? 'Cause
Yeah.
It started at the beginning.
Yeah, well,
With the unbelievable
best place to
fact.
start, really.
Yep.
So, I grew up in a historical residence where Ben Franklin, it was like a summer home. It's outside of Philadelphia, and there's a high propensity for lightning in that area for some reason. Like, I think it's just on high ground, or I don't know what it is.
Mhm.
But so we get a lot of electricity going on there at the time. And then just one day when I was a kid, it was just a real storm just rolled in out of nowhere. And I was watching television, and I was just like, I got a weird feeling. And the house gets hit at least once a storm.
Yeah.
So I like to turn the computer off because the surge protector gets blown, all this stuff. So I go over to the television. I'm like, I'm going to turn this off. And I'm about maybe 3 feet away, and then just the flash and the crack just happened instantly.
Whoa.
And sparks just flew off just as my hand was like reaching for the TV. It was just like,
Whoa, so the lightning hit something on the outside of the house that went through
yeah,
the...
exactly. And Ben Franklin invented the lightning rod. And we got one on the roof, and it just went straight down the side of the house. It's supposed to go grounding, but it hit the antenna instead.
Do you have to be in Philadelphia for that to happen?
to be
To
struck
be
by
a-
electricity?
Yeah,
To
through
be
your...
at Ben Franklin's house for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
at,
So-
at Ben Franklin's house.
That
That's where that happens.
That
you
was
know.
my first brush with death.
I see.
You saw it, yeah. The possibility was right there.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That's how I gained my powers. So,
What are those special powers?
oh God, don't put me on the spot.
You can charge up cell phones
Oh,
and...
man. I didn't want to reveal my identity on the air.
On the air. Yeah, we're going to save that for another episode as well. So, cool. We have a really good show tonight. We weren't around last week, right? We had our first break since we started the run of the show.
Yeah, this is 13.
Episode
Yeah.
13.
Lucky 13. Don't get struck by lightning.
We did 12 weeks in a row of shows, and they were really great. We had a lot of amazing guests. Took a week off, and now we're back.
Yeah, I worked on a
And-
few other things.
Totally hectic week. It's really interesting. The last 2 weeks, a lot has happened, and it's really crazy. I was working Fashion Week. That's just like long hours doing runway shows and fashion stuff. But just like the grunt running around doing stuff, you know, and seeing what's going on. Nothing special, but long hours working. So that was really tough. And then, so that's actually the reason why we took a week off, because I was working so much and we couldn't do the show. It was totally impossible. And but then we did a folk show Friday night. We did a performance over at Mama Joy's, and we always want to like promote that as well because that's really cool. Every Friday night at Mama Joy's, 1084 Flushing in Bushwick, you can go see live folk music. And also our good friends Leslie and Lissa just got married. So
Yeah.
congratulations to Les and Lissa. That was really great. They were actually married yesterday, and we had a big party, and it was a really great way to wrap up the summer and to wrap up, just the year going into winter. And yeah, it's been a hectic 2 weeks, but yeah, so we're wrapping up a crazy 2 weeks with an amazing show tonight.
Yeah.
And on top of that, because of the wedding, we have a lot of friends that are from out of town, from California. And so the guests tonight, a lot of them are old friends that are coming and visiting from California that are going to share with us. So it's really great. Tonight we have Colleen Russell and James Hughes. They are education specialists, and Colleen is a program manager at KidQuest. And we're going to get into a conversation with them about education and special needs education and all the challenges that they face and, what they get into. And also, we have Dylan Shearer here. He's going to play some music for us. Dylan's a good friend, and it's going to be great to hear Dylan play. We're going to talk to him a little bit, too, I hope. And we also have Craig Stokel here, and Craig's going to share his photography with us, and we're going to roll through some of his images and have him give us a breakdown of his method and everything. So, yeah, super cool couple of weeks in a row, and I feel like in a lot of ways it's culminating with us doing the show right now. Yeah. Well, it culminated last night, with Les's wedding, but... It's post-culmination now, and we're documenting the post-culmination of a great 2 weeks. So, what have you guys been up to?
Ooh, not as much as that. So I think that we shouldn't really review our weeks.
Well, I didn't mean to set that up exactly like that, but
mine was fairly normal.
Mm-hmm. You were gone for a while too, Greg.
Yeah,
right? You were out camping and living in the back country and stuff, right?
I was, and I almost didn't come back. It was pretty fantastic.
Did you eat bugs and find water when you needed it most?
I didn't eat bugs. I did find water when I needed it.
Mm-hmm.
Most, is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, most of the time.
Of the trip.
I had water all the time.
Yeah, you also faced a deluge in a kayak or something, right?
Yeah. Some pretty outrageous rain and some really high winds in a canoe.
Mm.
And there was lightning, so I was kind of like being in an aluminum canoe on a lake in lightning storms are really bad places for people to be.
Yeah, do you have any advice for folks at home about being in a metal canoe on a lake during a lightning storm?
Mostly don't be.
Yeah.
If you see the lightning coming, it's just not a good time to get on.
If you see the lightning coming, avoid it.
Yeah.
Actually,
doesn't it travel
to go very far
near the speed of light or something?
And far away from your anything giant and metal.
Yeah.
So. But.
And then there's also the response, like, if you hear it, it's too late. So.
Well, you hear it a few seconds later.
Then it's too late. By the time that happens, it's totally too late.
Like a lot of time to get prepared.
Yeah. You're like, why am I on my back hearing thunder?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, it's very interesting if anybody pays close attention to like how we set up the shows and stuff. In a lot of intros, we're like explaining to the folks at home how right outside the window there's a courtyard. We've had a rave out there during the show where it was like the whole show was like while we were talking to guests. Mm-hmm. We've had rock shows out there, and they do DJ sets. Hip hop show was there one night.
That was
Tonight, right now they're chanting, and they're about to start swashbuckling and sword play because they're doing a performance of Cyrano de Bergerac in the yard right here. And I almost feel like we should point the camera out there and spread some mics, but it is $15 a ticket, so.
Hard to see it. Yeah, they probably wouldn't.
Yeah, I feel like they should yell up to the window and try to court us.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
We should explain to them that that's how it should happen. No, they built really elaborate set and everything. I don't know. I wish I could give props to who it was. Maybe we'll find them and get them on the show. But it's really cool to do like public theater in a yard. And like so many nights I was out, I was like, what the fuck is going on? And like looking out the window, and it's like, seeing a classic theatrical piece like right outside your window is kind of amazing, And that just speaks to the place we're in, the building we're in, the neighborhood we're in, and all the strange arts you'll see from the streets to the rooftops to inside the Sulphurbaths.
Completely surrounded by it.
Oh, today I was going to tell you guys and this live on the show, and here I am telling you it now. I did my laundry today.
Whoa!
And that's a really great feeling because
close to doing it.
You weren't able.
I did.
But in Bushwick, in New York, it's not the easiest thing. It's not like going and just like, oh, let's throw the clothes in and get them clean. It's like, oh, I gotta clean my clothing.
Where do you gotta go?
And so I used to walk 7 blocks. I'm kind of
you don't go to
I'm blessed now because there's one
anymore.
downstairs and it's close.
Yeah, it's not
But-
as weird if you're naked and you go to that one.
Yeah, right.
It's not as weird.
I know you.
Wearing a robe and socks. But I went there today and I did my laundry and I washed a matchbook that was in my pocket in my laundry.
Yeah, those.
And
pretty
my
cool.
laundry itself was like filled with this sulfur. It was like a bath of sulfur.
Wow.
No way.
And I was sitting there and I just had this incredible, epiphany while doing laundry that things were going to be okay. And even though some sulfur was going to get in my pants and my shirts, socks,
Sometimes you're gonna bathe in sulfur.
it was going to happen. It was, life was reflecting back
Yeah.
that which I didn't know what meant, and now I know. The whole point of everything is
Right here on the show, you figured
You
it
know.
out.
get your clothes cleaned.
Don't slide across
Yeah.
any rough surfaces.
Don't. Anyway, so
Cool, man.
I figured that was the end of the nonsensical statement section.
Yeah.
We
Oh, by the way,
factored that in.
like usual, I usually call out what the hell we're watching when we start this show.
Oh yeah, you're the one that remembers.
Yeah.
That's great.
I mean,
We
just
watched
because
it
I
when we
figure
started the
someone
show.
watches this show and they'd be like, "What was that?" What's
Yeah,
going on
there's a little piece there.
Yeah.
So
That's a very interesting one. Usually we do an experimental video for the beginning of each show, and a lot of times it's just made that week. We make it that week real quick before the show. This week was literally you doing a trailer, one of the announcements of like, tune in 20 minutes we're starting. We always do a test and a trailer, and maybe somebody saw it tonight, but a little bit before the show we go on live for maybe a minute. And that was you doing that, only with effects and reversed, and I modulated the sound quite a bit. But it turned into kind of a strange alien message from another planet. Like
And if someone wants to submit one of those,
Mhm.
how would they do that?
A strange alien request from another
No,
planet?
just like a little thing we could watch at the beginning of the show,
Yeah.
or maybe even
Oh,
be a guest.
mhm.
How would they?
Mhm.
What's the
Yeah,
contact?
that's
Are
good.
they able to do that?
Yeah, that's really great. We take submissions and we talk to people if they could email us info
If
at
they could.
sulphurbath.com.
Okay.
info at Sulphurbath, and it's funny how I spell info but not Sulphurbath. Isn't that great?
Sulphurbath.
And
That's just way.
at it's the thing that's
Yeah.
like this, like an A, and then there's a circle around it.
it.
Sulphurbath.
It's with a PH, not an F.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it's
Most
it's
important
printed
part
too.
there.
Like people can that have seen the show.
SUL down
What if they're
arrow
listening
two
to the
times.
show?
Well, then when they go and turn it off just about now, they can see at the bottom, like, inside the sulfur bath. Oh, that's what it was called, But anyway, it's been a strange
That's
couple of
true.
weeks. I was actually, I experienced sleep deprivation.
Yeah.
So not only, Blaine, you lent me that book, Hallucinations,
Yeah,
right?
I did.
Oliver Sacks. So I'm reading his scientific interpretation of hallucinations, from drug to disease to reality-induced hallucinations.
Yeah.
At the same time, I'm working Lincoln Center and, doing this work, long days, 16-hour days, coming home and not being able to get to sleep right away, and then ending up with like 2-3 hours of sleep a night with like 7-8 days in a row. And I actually experienced like some sleep deprivation and delirium. I had like, hypnagogic hallucinations before falling asleep. And then like 2-3 nights in a row, I experienced like when your nervous system turns off, but your mind is still on. When you're like, you like wake up or you're awake and suddenly you just can't move
Yeah.
and you can't talk. And sometimes it's scary if you don't know what's going on, but
Sleep
Yeah,
paralysis.
as if you
sleep paralysis, exactly, yeah. 3 nights in a row. And it's like by the third night, I was actually like, if you could control this, this could be interesting. This could be good.
Pretty wild, man.
It's a form of, it's like sitting in a sauna of the unknown and
All right.
like detoxing in some
Never
way.
heard it put that
You
way.
detox your psyche, basically, is what I'm saying, and I think that would work for it, sleep paralysis.
I'm
And-
sure there are those that would disagree with you.
The sauna of the unknown, the
Yeah.
sauna. But that's exactly, I just wanted to demonstrate exactly what I'm talking about, this kind of delirium where 2 minutes into what you're saying, you
So,
realize, like, this is
that's
not
you're
what I
doing.
should be saying,
You're
because,
demonstrating that right now.
yeah, I was trying to get,
Did you ever have? Did you ever have like a visual,
show, don't tell.
Did you ever have like a visual one?
Yeah, I
Visual.
did, actually. This is what I mean, like a hypnagogic, like as I was falling asleep, I had this vision that there was like this square of light, like a panel, it was like a tile or something, and it was just like moving through the room like this, very slowly. But I was like, oh, I'm awake, I know I'm awake, I sense that that is there. And,
Just scanning the room,
yeah.
just like checking stuff out.
I also read an article recently that was talking about, the taboo against, mental illness and, I don't know, just like how Oliver Sacks, he talks about, hallucinations in his patients in this book, Hallucinations, which is really great. And a lot of them are afraid to talk about it. It's something all humans experience, like
Right.
our mental state, our senses, our sensory. It's all very like, it's not black and white, cut and dry explained, and this is how it should work. But anybody that says, "Oh, I'm experiencing life differently than how the textbooks say," it's like, "Oh, mental illness," and
Yeah, there's so many.
that's dangerous.
I thought-
Slippery slope.
I thought it was interesting. There's so many cases where people experience the a hallucination, but they know that it's a hallucination.
Yeah.
They don't confuse it for reality,
Yeah.
even though they're seeing something that may look or be presented as completely normal. They just take it. Oh, that's a hallucination. I know not to interact with it, because when you occupy your mind doing something else, very often they'll disappear.
Yeah.
You know, it's all like it's why truckers see things because they're on the road for a long period of time
Yeah.
and just experiencing the same visual thing, and it's almost like deprivation because you're sort of you're kind of it's like
what was really
between
interesting to
sensory
me in that
deprivation tanks.
in that book was the musical notation, like his friends that wrote a lot of music and were
Yeah.
staring at music every day,
Yeah.
and then they would like have this whole language of the visual symbolic hallucinations of it.
Yeah, and then you try to play it and you can't
Yeah.
because it's just not real music.
Yeah.
But I could see back in a few hundred years ago, you thinking you're being inspired
Right.
by the gods, you know, like, oh, this
Mhm.
is a beautiful piece of music, and then it's just gibberish.
Mm-hmm.
Or, you know, bop.
Beautiful piece
silly.
of music.
You gotta sing it off a little bit so you wouldn't get sued. A biggie do.
What song is that?
Oh no, was that just me that caught that?
I don't know.
Talking about Hanson.
Oh, yeah, no, I
no.
dropped it
Yeah.
in there.
Some bop.
Okay.
No, you didn't hear
I
that,
just
Mike.
totally dated myself. I totally was watching MTV in 1998.
Yeah. Sweet.
Yeah, so that's
So-
wrap.
so
Yeah,
you're
we're
ready
wrapping
for
that up. I just wanted to give an edit
Oh.
moment. Like, okay, there's gonna be an edit there. Wrap.
Chop.
You
Anyway.
snap it.
And just,
Cool.
We'll just start after the next sentence.
Yep. Cool. So yeah, it's been a great couple of weeks, and it's good that we had a little break, right? And now we're
Yeah.
back. It's kind of it's good to get a fresh start. And
Yeah.
I think the next several episodes are gonna be awesome.
This time we're gonna try harder.
Yeah, right. I'm trying the shit out of myself right now. I gotta say.
Down to a science.
Yeah, no.
And
We're down.
yeah, there should be a progression. You know, we're still kind of sort of feeling out our.
No, but I like the just calling it a new start.
Mhm.
We're gonna do it right.
Yeah,
this
we
time.
slept for a weekend, and then now it's a new start.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So yeah, I think we should bring out Colleen and James. I would like to
Let's
start
do it.
this segment.
Yeah.
Colleen and James, like I said earlier, are education specialists, and they're going to talk to us right now. But Colleen is the program manager of KidQuest, and so welcome out, Colleen Russell and James Hughes. Welcome.
Hello.
Thank you.
Microphones all around.
I think so.
Cool. Well, yeah, welcome you guys. Yeah, it's so cool. You guys are out here from California, and we've
to
had
be here.
a lot of fun this week.
Yes.
So when I heard you guys were all coming out, I was like, oh my God, they have to be on the show and they have to tell us about their experience. So just to get right into it, you know, me watching you go through this and like developing KidQuest and, you know, managing it and everything is, you know, I have a lot of respect for that. To me, that's, you know, I know it took a lot for you to do that. And I think it's a very noble pursuit. And, you know.
For those of us uninitiated, what is it?
About 10 years ago, almost 10 years, December 2003 was our start date of like the inception of the idea. KidQuest is a social program primarily for kids with special needs and young adults with special needs, but we also are an all-inclusive program. So we have typically developing kids alongside children with special needs. But it's unique in the fact that we focus on socialization and friendship building skills. So we'll take kids on adventures in the community, and we also have a center where we have an art room, a music room, a book club room, and like a big ADA accessible. ADA is American Disability Act accessible, so kids in wheelchairs and young adults in wheelchairs can fit down our hallways, and there's a ramp into the home. James actually was commissioned to do a wheelchair accessible pathway through our big organic garden. So yeah, it's
Cool.
It's definitely been a labor of love, but it's almost 10 years old, and we're now much more established. We have a center, and we have, you know, monthly calendars of events in the community as well as at our center.
Wonderful. And so if I can pick that apart a little bit and ask
Yeah.
us specifically about that,
Of
what kind
course.
of you said community adventures where you go out into the community?
Yeah.
What kind of things do you do?
Like on a monthly basis, we do things like bowling and taking kids to see movies and taking them out on hikes, and we'll go to the beach. But we also do special events like we took a group of 6 kids scuba diving in the Monterey Bay Aquarium. There's like a little protected cove right outside of the Monterey Bay Aquarium
Oh,
where
cool.
our kids got to go in full dry suits with 2 scuba buddies. So kids that were, you know, wheelchair bound, all of a sudden they're floating in the ocean and like completely free of any sort of physical, you know, disabilities that they may have. So yeah, we'll do like special events like that, but mostly it's pretty much based on participant interest. We'll ask the participants like, well, what do you guys want to do this month? And they'll tell us some really off the wall things. Like we've had 3 Stooges nights for kids that want to do that. We've done, very specific things, but we'll take them to concerts, take them out, pretty much whatever they want to do. We try to make it as participant driven as possible.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah, because our kids have great ideas and they're fantastic. So we just are there to help keep them safe in the community, to help intervene when we need to,
And kind of
mostly just let them do their thing and keep them safe and keep them on track, and honestly keep them, being kind to one another and following the rules.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And can you explain to me some of the challenges that you've gone through while you've been building this up? I've talked to you over the years as you've been doing this.
Yeah.
And I know you've faced a lot of walls, and you've told me about the challenges of the public education system and what's expected. And so can you go into that a little bit, like?
Well, we've always been outside of the public education system because, I started this program because as a parapro, which is like a one-to-one aid with a student with special needs, I noticed on all of their IEPs, which stands for Individualized Education Plan, that so many of their parents really wanted them to learn how to make a friend, learn how to introduce themselves, learn how to be more social and cooperative. However, in the school day, there's really no time to focus on that. The academics alone take up just so much of their time. So, I went to my boss at Balance for Kids and said, what about a social program? She said, great, run with it. And so we are outside of school funding. We are funded through the San Andreas Regional Center, which it's actually a nonprofit that the state gives money to, and they allocate it out to people that are deserving of those hours.
Okay.
And so we get money through that. We've also had two grants from the State Council on Developmental Disabilities, 2 consecutive years, which allowed us to find the KidQuest Center, which is an ADA accessible home, and make that the home base for KidQuest. Because before that, we were renting out rooms at like community centers, and I would pack my wagon full of 8 bags of pots and pans so that we could take the kids and teach them how to make homemade pasta at some random community center. So now we have a home base, which is fantastic, and the kids all think of it like a second home. So it's exciting.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
it sounds like a very
awesome.
creative place.
It's
you kind of
amazing.
you're allowing them to lead the adventure in some ways, and what they are interested in, you support that. And
Yeah, we have like a rotating calendar of events. Like, we have a book club where me and 4 other young adults with special needs, we all read together every Monday for 2 hours, and then we go on field trips based on what we read. Then we have science experiment days. We have huge cooking days where we make everything from scratch. And these are kids that sometimes have like very self-induced limited diets. Like, I only want to eat Kraft macaroni and cheese. However, if they make homemade gnocchi and their friend who also has special needs, like, oh, you should try it, it's great. They're like, okay. And then all of a sudden they're obsessed with pasta, and they will expand their diet, themselves. But we have a music room. We do theater productions. We do all sorts of fun stuff. It's really based on what the kids want to do. So
What's the age range? I'm kind of curious.
Right now we have children 4 to 24. So some of our young adults have technically aged out of our program at 22, but if they're still continuing to have fun, we keep them on as volunteers, and they can help us,
Cool.
help the younger kids, which is fantastic because a lot of people with special needs really want the opportunity to help and volunteer. However, not a lot of places have the means to make that happen.
Yeah.
And so we do, which is awesome.
And it's also local-based community building for real.
Absolutely.
Like, that's great.
Yeah, from the ground up. Absolutely.
And, speaking of which, can I ask you guys about, I've kind of watched you do this yourself. There's, trying to, depend on, public governmental organizations, and there's a lot of methods that, people approach that are dealing with this. And, you guys, I feel like you not only designed something yourself and you found your own avenue to do this, but it really is something of the citizen taking care of the people themselves. Like, I'm really inspired by how you kind of started doing this. It wasn't necessarily, to me, just watching you do this, it wasn't necessarily jumping into something that somebody told you to do. It was this is how you guys were deciding to give back to society, or something.
Colleen kind of mentioned it earlier. A lot of our kids have social deficits, and part of that is a result of some of the things they're guaranteed in their education. And they spend a lot more time with one adult, or 2 adults, and them in a room doing speech therapy, doing occupational therapy, doing physical therapy, whatever it is, and they don't interact with peers. Even if they're in a special day class where there's 8 or 10 other students in the class with them, they might be at different levels, or for whatever, so what you're doing in a classroom is so targeted on specific goals that there's not that I'm just going to make a friend, or I'm just going to express myself and somebody else might be able to interact with me. There's just really isn't time for that in the public school day. So Colleen, working with this population, saw the need and just started building it and making it happen.
So I always felt like it's really hard to learn how to socialize with other kids when you don't have the opportunity to do so, you know, and especially, I mean, the kids that we work with have taught us so much, and they have the opportunity to teach each other so much and to have a real peer-directed model, which really works. I mean, our kids are just incredible teachers when they're offered the chance. And you know, because they're labeled as having special needs, they don't often get that chance.
Mm-hmm.
So it's inspiring to see, you know, when you put that blank slate in front of someone and say, well, what do you want to do? And you really believe in them and say, I can help you facilitate that. I mean, our kids have, you know, they're very self-directed, and it's really like autonomy building has been one of our biggest goals.
Cool.
Just because it's really sad. So many parents were like, oh, my kid can't do that. I'm like, well, they did it today. And they, you know, so many parents are they set the bar so low for their kids because they are given the label of, you know, their child having Down syndrome or autism or Rett syndrome or whatever it is, and they often feel like this is their lot in life, and this is as far as it can go.
And the
It's not
culture
true.
and the culture of the school doesn't give them those opportunities, and so Kid Quest is almost sometimes a hard idea for parents to wrap their mind around. Well, what are you going to be doing? Like they often say, like, what will you be making them do? And we say, like, hang out. Like, you know, we just make a safe space with opportunities for activities and let kids be kids. And a lot of our special needs population kids don't get that opportunity.
Yeah. Their days are pretty regulated. They'll have, you know, a schedule with the 12 things they're going to do that day. And so they get to Kid Quest like, I can really do what I want. Like, yeah, you want to read that book? Let's sit down. Oh, you want to, you know, make a puppet? Let's do it, you know. And so it's really, we try to be have the kids be as self-directed as possible.
That sounds very empowering.
It's empowering. It's also, it can be chaotic, but we have great staff, and we all are very, you know, we love what we do. And, you know, the level of patience and authenticity with our staff is the most important. I think education definitely is not. I mean, we've had people with master's degrees in recreation that really couldn't navigate around how to start a game of tag with the kids. So, and then we have, you know, volunteers who are 12 that can do it and are like naturals. And so it's really incredible. And also, like I said, when the kids get older, they really want to help the younger kids and really be a part of the process. And so, and now that we've been doing it 10 years, we have kids that are, you know, started when they were 10 and now they're 20 and they're in college, and, you know, they're still wanting to be a part of Kid Quest, so their roles really change. And that's the beauty of the program, is that you can kind of grow as the program does as well.
That's so cool. I didn't realize you've been around a decade already.
Almost.
Wow.
December.
Very close,
Yeah. James is our first volunteer.
Nice.
The term special needs is kind of like a blanket. It's a large, I imagine, field, and it encompasses a lot, I suppose. What is there like a something that specifically falls under that category, or is there a defining characteristic that limits them to being able to take part in your program?
No, we are open for anyone. We're like an all-inclusive program. So typically developing peers can come, anyone can come. And yeah, like you said, the label of having special needs is so vast. I mean, everything from, you know, having autism spectrum disorder, which is, if it's a true spectrum, we're all on there somewhere, to, you know, kids that have chromosomal anomalies and, you know, genetic issues. But a lot of our kids have, they term it PDD-NOS, which is pervasive developmental delay, not otherwise specified, meaning that experts, when they went to go be diagnosed at Stanford or by a doctor or by a psychiatrist, they didn't meet the 8 markers of autism or however many it is, and so they really couldn't give them that specific label.
And I think what's really interesting,
it's vast. Right now we have kids with 18 different diagnoses at my center,
but
including typically developing.
Being so wide open, it's really amazing how many anecdotes we could probably think about, people coming to volunteer or even to work, having been screened by the organization that we work for and all that kind of stuff, where they go, oh, I don't have any experience with special needs populations, but then they come out and they hang out, they go, oh, that's like, you know, so-and-so is a lot like my cousin that, like, I hung out with, or, hey, I remember doing that when I was a kid. And you do realize, as you were talking about with mental health at the beginning of the show, it's a spectrum of things. Like Colleen was talking about with the autism spectrum, we all have special needs, I think. You know, I mean, you have your own special needs. Like, I know I do. But, like, yeah, so it's a really vague term, like you were saying. And what's nice is that while creating something that's really safe and driven, you know, functional and purpose driven, KidQuest really removes all these barriers, so anybody can hang out with anybody, and if you have an open mind, you can have a great time.
That's great. And there's something about the underlying idea of like this kind of social education, which, it doesn't, regardless of the challenges one faces in their lives, this seems like a very healthy step that basically should be, everywhere. Like thinking about an education and how you learn and how you interact with society on a deeper level that's maybe a little bit more creative and not so like structured, not so subscribed by the state or what have you.
Yeah.
And, the idea that, everybody learns differently, everybody experiences life differently, and doing that kind of community building, I think, is really awesome. It sounds like, the kids coming back now. It's been 10 years, and some of them are volunteering and everything.
Some of them have been there every day, almost for those 10 years. We have kids that are just regulars. That are
oh,
there
it's already
every day.
a noble American institution. maybe one of the last left, actually.
Maybe not that, but like you said, I mean, I think we all learned so much from our friends, and I think that having friends is so important, and being able to offer that to kids is really, it's incredible. And our kids are just amazing that we have, and they teach each other and they teach the staff and myself just so much every day. So it's really exciting to be able to still be doing it.
Have you seen in some of the longer term kids? Have you seen the changes or anything? Have you seen them grow?
Absolutely.
What have you noticed anything in particular that they develop?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we have, there's this big misnomer that people with autism spectrum disorder have no empathy, which I think is terrible, that's something that people, use to categorize autism. And, we now have, people with autism that really want to work with younger kids that are, I actually have a job interview set up with 2 former KidQuest, participants to come back and work for us.
Cool.
And that's really exciting to be able to pass on the torch in a really meaningful way. And it's really sad. A lot of, programs have kind of, like, they put up kind of fake jobs for people, but these are, real things. I think that the kids that are in our program have seen just the staff and how we all work together, and they learn so much from that, and just that interaction that's really kind and positive and really on the level, and not speaking down to them, and just being authentic.
Yeah.
We had a psychologist we work with that always says, you've had so many money issues over the years, and so many just sad things happen to your kids. However, the fact that you're really authentic and you pick people who really want to be there has kept you open. Yeah, because the kids can tell. I mean, if anyone can cut through bullshit, it's kids, and kids with special needs even more so, because they're used to being spoken down to, and so they're just pretty incredible people.
Amazing. And as a nonprofit, is there some way that you promote like donations or something, or you seek grants? You said earlier, but is there a website or something, or you said that the organization you work with, is there somewhere that people can go online and try to help or anything like that?
Well,
or
we do small scale stuff throughout the community constantly. We'll do community days at pizza parlors, things like that, like a local grocery store. You can donate your bag token to KidQuest. I mean, we do small things like that constantly, but then on a larger scale, we do grant applications and e-script and things like that are on our website, which is www.kidquest.org.
Cool.
Yeah.
Kidquest.org. Yeah. Yeah, I'll check it out.
Is this just a local thing, or is it like a larger...
It's just local so far. It's just in our town of Santa Cruz.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is a pretty special place, and I think it's really... Because we have kind of a small community and a really beautiful setting, we're able to take our kids into some exciting opportunities. But I really think it's a kind of a model that would work anywhere.
Yeah, I can see that benefit, like almost like a franchise in that aspect, a local version.
Yeah.
In different places.
Before the financial woes of because we've been around for 10 years, there was talk about that, and there was I think you even did a lot of work on making a program that was a replicable program,
like an
guide
induction
kind of.
manual,
Yeah, there was a lot of work with that, and then the grant money just dried up. California's but state money is just basically all completely frozen to this day. Except for small infrastructure stuff here and there. But the Council on Developmental Disabilities definitely does not have as much money as they had when KidQuest first started. So it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
We make it work, though.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Day by day.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's amazing what you guys are doing. Can you share with us what's like some other awesome adventures? You said scuba diving. That sounds pretty amazing.
Well, a couple years ago, we had a fantastic volunteer named Jim Doltz, who was an old set designer in Hollywood. He worked for the Muppets
cool.
Tonight, and he did all the sets for Team America.
Cool.
The
He
Matt
was the
Stone
art
Tree
director on
Love that.
Overboard.
Yeah, he was the art director
Oh,
on
yeah?
Overboard, which I
With
was
Goldie Hawn
so
and-
thrilled
yeah.
about. He's like, "You're too young to know what that movie is." I was like, "No, it's like a legacy in my house." But he also did the sets for What Dreams May Come, the Robin Williams thing. So he's just this creative, just super genuine, amazing guy, and he wanted to volunteer with children and adults with special needs and do something theatrical. And so Jim volunteered. Every Thursday he would come and sing songs with the kids, and we ended up doing 3 different productions. One of them, the last one was like a variety show where he would, the kids were like, whatever they wanted to do, like sing bizarre, like,
Cover Beatles songs.
Yeah, cover Beatles songs, like
or
Joan
do their
Jett
own,
songs.
their own songs themselves.
We had 2 kids want to do a comedy routine, which was amazing.
We had a magician, I believe, at one time.
We did.
Oh, awesome.
We had definitely lots of we had some poems and some sing-alongs. It was pretty much, seeing the gift that the participant wanted to bring to the table. And some of our kids are painfully shy. Others are complete hams. Like we actually made a giant cane to drag kids off the stage, like,
Oh, that's
vaudeville
funny.
style,
Because we needed it.
because it was necessary. But so that was such an incredible thing to see all
Cool.
of these, all of these different, young adults and children with special needs of different ages and different diagnoses and very, very different cognitive levels being able to join in something creative together. And it was
I'll
just,
jump
it
on
was-
stage and sing the same song together.
Yeah, it
and,
was.
choreograph things together.
Thanks for James for being all the musical accompaniment.
Nice.
And Jim was one of those people I was talking about earlier too, where he kind of came and was like, I don't know anything. I'm sorry. He just wanted to try it. He was retiring from Hollywood, and he was like, I don't know what to do. And then a couple months after he got started with us, we'd already done one production where he really wanted this to be like, he came with a play, and like he realized like that's not what we do. We really like let things happen organically. And he goes, and when he kind of made that connection in his own brain, he goes, I found my people. Like
Yeah.
I was in Hollywood and I felt like a fish out of water.
Yeah,
and
he's
Nice.
I did
everyone
this,
was
that, and the
so,
other,
like, commercial
and now I like found my people. You guys are here, and I just love it. And so he was a great addition to Kid Quest for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we have those just special people that kind of come in, and our program touches them, and so they just give so much back, and it's incredible. Yeah, like we've had a lot of good stories and a lot of really fun times. But our kids are just, they're all such a legacy of what's possible when you believe in someone. Yeah.
What kind of feedback, if any, do you get from the parents?
Oh,
Or,
gosh.
I mean, do you get? do you get? I would imagine they could see results or a difference.
Absolutely. We have parents that
involvement.
literally couldn't leave their child with anyone because they were, so active or so violent or so, I don't know. There's just many issues where they just couldn't leave. We have some parents that their son comes to Kid Quest literally every day we're open. We're open, usually 6 days a week. And they said before Kid Quest, they had never been able to leave. They hadn't gone on a date since he was born. And he was 7 when we got him, And so it's one of those things that parents really, they feel so comfortable. We have like the best staff in the world, 3 people in this room have worked for Kid Quest and just added so much to it. And so it's really incredible. We just have amazing people who really have the patience and the skills to work with pretty much anyone that walks through the doors.
Mhm.
And so many programs are so specific, like, oh, you can come if you have autism and you're verbal and you're potty trained. And we don't put those,
I think that's the culture we were talking about
Yeah.
earlier, where
Mhm.
parents get so used to being turned away.
Yeah, parents
And,
are told no constantly.
When somebody encounters Kid Quest, and you go, like, we've had so many parents, like, I can really leave. I can leave them with you. Really, you're gonna be okay?
Like,
and
are
we're like,
you
yeah, we're gonna
sure?
be fine.
Yeah.
And they come back and they're like, I got to walk on the beach by myself for the first time,
Mhm.
or I got to go to the grocery store without having to run around and like chase somebody, or just be constantly worried about my child, or have a date for the first time since our
And of course, that
child's born.
affects their communication within the family and everything.
Yeah, they come back
so-
refreshed and
Mhm.
more, able to deal because it's
They're-
such a tough job that our parents have,
Hmm.
So it's really, the feedback from parents has been amazing. We actually thought we were going to have to close due to financial worries about 4 years ago. We sent out a letter and had a meeting with all the parents, like, we're going to have to close. How are we going to tell their kids? And the parents were like, we can't. You can't close. And so parents rallied. We did fundraisers, and we were able to make it happen and keep our doors open. But our parents they think of it like a second home too. We have so many parents like, I want to stay, and they're like, but I know my kid needs their own time here. But it's just
we have
we have
a
a
Yeah.
great community. We have such a great community.
Another little sliver of fundraising for Kid Quest is this really awesome event in Santa Cruz called the Human Race,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is put on by our volunteer center. It's run through the Santa Cruz County offices,
Mhm.
and several of our parents are continually the top fundraisers
In the county
individually
for
for the entire
KidQuest.
county, and they just give all their money to KidQuest, and usually KidQuest and our parent organization is the top fundraiser, because we're just
Beating
some of
out
our parents get
programs
so
that are
motivated.
10 times our size because our
Wow.
parents are so
And
motivated.
corporate
Yeah.
corporate
Wow.
corporations with like large connections, but because we're so on the person to person level, we're so grassroots in a lot of ways, to borrow a phrase or a term. There it moves faster, and I think people are more passionate about it. So, that they saw this wonderful resource in their community that some of them have come to depend on and really come to love, and they know their child loves it, and decided no, it's not going to stop. And so,
Yeah, they've seen
it's
their
great.
they've seen their
Wonderful.
children grow, make their first friends, get invited to their first birthday parties because of KidQuest and things like that. And that's the real beauty of two kids that really got along. I can tell their parents, oh, they had a real connection. They jammed in the music room for like 3 hours. Like, oh, okay, we'll have a play date. And so, building those bridges. Whereas before, I mean, the reason we started it is because of the sad isolation that happens to children and young adults with special needs. They're not invited to, join Boys and Girls, Club or Boys and Girls Scouts and AYSO soccer. Those pre-existing programs don't have the necessary means to accommodate a lot of our kids.
They might try, but not. It's usually it's not like they're trying to be mean or trying to exclude people. Usually, it's just that they don't. Their staff doesn't have the training. They don't have the facilities. There's a lot of factors that come into it. But one of my other favorite highlights of KidQuest was two participants who met each other and just had a connection, and they were both over 18 at the time.
I think they were
I
17.
think they were high schooler aged students, and they just really had an affinity for each other. And one of the students asked the other one out on a date. And they went home to their parents and talked about it. And then both the parents came to Colleen and to KidQuest and said, what can we do about can we make this happen?
For them to want to go on a date, but they're like, we don't want to go. They can't go alone, but we don't want to go. And so I was like, I'll chaperone. So I took two kids on their first date to the Santa Cruz boardwalk, and it was amazing. It was so appropriate and super sweet, and just one of those rites of passage that otherwise they might not have encountered at that age.
Right.
And I think that speaks a lot to the level of trust that, like you were saying, what's the feedback from the parents? Well, two sets of parents sent their kids on a date.
Yeah.
And
with Colleen and with KidQuest behind it.
We have the best parents who are so involved and so terrified. We have parents who their kids have gone through 8 surgeries, have had huge medical issues, and for them to leave their kid with us and fully trust us, it's pretty amazing. And we realized that there was a small fire by our center when we were actually in Yosemite, and my business partner, Valerie Diaz, who's the most incredible person on earth, she said it was amazing because all these families that were a little hesitant at first were like, oh, yeah, there's a fire. Here's my kid. Rolling him in, so see you in 3 hours.
We know you guys can handle this.
It's a huge amount of trust,
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And the kids are just so great with each other, and they learn so much from one another. And it's really fun to see kids facilitate things with other kids, especially kids that don't talk, that have communication devices, and it's just amazing. Yeah, we have some kids that can only sign, and so everyone learns, those 10 basic signs to communicate with them, and the amount of patience that our students have with one another is just incredible. Because we have kids that are super, super, cognitively high functioning, who are going to college independently and can drive a car independently, but who still come back to KidQuest to see their friends who, might, not be as high functioning, and who, use communication devices to talk, or have a lot more
physical limitations
and struggles. And it's incredible how much the kids relate to one another and really make this really strong community just based on that.
Yeah, that's amazing. It seems simple, really, but it's so wonderful.
Absolutely.
Like what you guys are doing is the right thing, and you're increasing opportunities for people and helping out families. And yeah, I wish you guys all the best.
Thank you.
Man, for sure. Thank you guys so much also for coming on and sharing all of that with us. We'd like to again say the website and the possibility that people can check this out and possibly support it locally.
It's
Santa Cruz, California.
www.kidquest.org.
Cool.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us.
And what were you gonna
Thanks,
say,
Mike.
James?
I was gonna say, and congratulations to you guys getting your
Yes.
show going, and
Yeah, it's
rolling
Lucky
on.
13.
And,
Cool.
it's awesome.
It is, yeah, lucky 13
Thank
on this
you.
one. Cool. Well, and you guys are gonna stay around and jam with us again in a bit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
So as you guys know, we end each episode with that improvised jam, and That's our little social language section
Right,
at the end of our show.
absolutely.
But yeah, super cool. Thank you guys. Love you
Thank
guys
you,
so
Mike.
much. You guys are awesome. KidQuest, kidquest.org. Really super cool. Thank you guys. Awesome. Yeah, so many challenges, just to realize, like, how lucky I've been, growing up and, the circumstances I grew up in. And, and just in general, like, they were saying what they're working on, I really isn't anything that has to be applied to a specialized group of people. That's basically what you're talking about. Those principles you're talking about is, like, what everybody needs is, like, get into a social circumstance where you're communicating, where you're part of society, where you're not cut off, where, just being able to learn and expand what you understand more just by communicating. It doesn't have to be a book and a paid college lesson or whatever. It's like, that's really moving to me. And I think you guys are really kicking ass doing the right thing. So very cool.
Yeah, it sounds like if you listen, you'll be able to hear what they want or what they need. If you just have a good set of ears.
Mhm. Yeah, and being able to condone it and to be able to foster those adventures, like them talking about how they lead their own adventures and they try to do what they want to do and the ideas that they have. And at the end of the day, like, who's the teacher and who's the student here, So I think that's really, really awesome. So, yeah, cool. What a blessing that Sulphurbath, I think, is, well, that sounds a little preachy, blessing. But I should say, dude, it's cool that,
we're doing the Lord's work.
yeah. Dude, it's cool that we can have these cool, like, serious discussions and then right on top of that have an awesome artist on or a performance or...
I love it. It's
yeah.
good.
I love the format, and I think it's carrying on. It's really cool. So
It's fun. What I like is looking back on it too. Like you can always look back through the archive that's online and just see the wide array of
Mhm.
people, which is really, really cool. Just
Mhm.
artists, intellectuals, philosophers, politics, social program.
Mhm.
It's just
Martial
like-
arts.
Yeah, martial arts.
Don't forget that.
Another
that was kinda-
overlooked form of art.
That
Ass-kicking.
wasn't exactly a watershed moment. I was wondering if from then on we would just martial arts show. And then, like,
Oh, do a spin-off maybe.
yeah, a little spin-off.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? We've got a couple spin-offs planned for the
Yeah.
network.
But yeah, if you want to look at it, you can go to Sulphurbath.
Yep, sulphurbath.com, or the YouTube channel is called Mention Condition, all one word. And that's really what we want to push. We want to get people to go and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Check it
If we can get 100 of them, of you,
Yeah.
nice folks at home, 100 of them, then we can get streaming through YouTube. And then that might mean that we wouldn't have to pay money to do the show, and that would be kind of cool.
Yeah, and then see what topics grab you. We'll have it edited
Mhm.
up, and we'll have it.
Exactly. We're going to do that too,
packaged.
right?
Yeah, totally.
Chop them all up into each segment and
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, some of the musical guests alone are amazing. So
Mhm.
stick around for tonight's, of course.
hmm
But go back through the archives, check them all out.
And yeah, and the hashtags, the keywords, media descriptions, and titles are pretty cool too
Yeah.
for all of it. So just going through all of that stuff. So, awesome. So we're gonna have some live music on the show right now. So I would like to invite out a good friend, Dylan Shearer, who's a musician. He's from California. He's just finished having mastered his third album. Is this your third? Yeah, we're gonna ask him about that right directly.
Why not?
Dylan Shearer, thanks for joining us. What's up?
Yep.
Cool, Dylan. Thanks for joining us, man. How are you doing tonight?
Good.
Yeah?
I'm doing good.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's a tail end of a vacation, so
Yeah.
kind of just zoning out. And
So you're on vacation. You came out here from California.
Yeah.
We all went to the wedding yesterday.
wedding of a close high school friend.
Yep.
Yeah.
Leslie and Lissa's wedding, and you played music for the wedding during the ceremony, which was amazing.
Mhm.
Just acoustic guitar and a little old library, 100-year-old building or something almost, and yeah, just the sound of the music you were playing is super appropriate, super awesome. I loved it. Cool. So, and you're going back tomorrow morning to California,
Yes,
right?
indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So awesome. So you're gonna play a few songs for us, right, in a minute?
Yeah. And so while I was sitting here watching you guys, I was trying to think of which songs I was going to play. And, I used to work for KidQuest too, so...
Yeah. Cool.
So I kind of thought I'd tie it all together. And because now I'm a social worker, and that's kind of where I started out, in social services.
Mm-hmm.
So now, so it's going to play some of my songs that are kind of directly influenced by the work I do.
Oh, great.
So to kind of,
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah. And I figured I might play some piano songs too, because I never get to play those live.
That would be really great, and I don't think it's exactly been done on the show yet. So
Okay, cool.
that'd be very cool. So can you tell us a little bit about your new album and the process you went through in recording it and getting it mastered and everything?
Well, the new one is recorded by the same guy that did my last one. It's kind of the second chance I've had to be in a studio kind of situation, because the first album I kind of just recorded myself. And so the first time I went into the studio, I didn't know what the hell I was doing, and I was kind of like, nervous and rushing through everything. And this time I got to kind of like, know what I was getting myself into, and I knew how it was working with the guy, Eric Bauer, who's a really cool guy.
Cool.
And so then he also brought in other musicians too, because before I just kind of did mostly everything, and that's not my strongest suit, So it was cool to be able to collaborate with people. So I had a real awesome drummer that was on the album and a really great bass player. So it all kind of came together, and I think instrumentally, the album's more focused. And last time I did like 19 songs and tried to throw it all together in like 2 weeks of recording after work, and this time I just focused on like 11 songs, and it was just like more focused.
Oh, good.
So,
Cool.
Yeah. So I like the way it turned out.
More time to care to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And who are the two guys that you just mentioned, the bass player and drummer? Who are they? How'd you meet them?
So they're kind of like the studio, they're just friends with the guy that records me, and it's kind of, they all know each other in San Francisco, and the drummer, his name's Noel Ben Harmason, and he was in that band Comments on Fire, and then the bass player that I played with is kind of hard to pin down because he plays with the OCs, so we're playing a couple shows together, but usually he's like in another country or something. So,
all right.
Yeah, but they were really professional, and they were able to come up with stuff. I mean, they'd never heard my stuff, and I recorded most of the tracks, and they just came in and just came up with parts right away, and it worked really well.
Yeah, super cool.
It was cool.
And even surprising to you after having written it and played it, and then suddenly it's
Yeah, I'm not used to just glocking so much with people and having it all come together real quick like that. So
Awesome.
It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very cool. What's the new album called?
Garage Array.
Garage Ray. And it'll be available once it's done mastered, that people can check it out on somewhere.
That process of pressing the records and everything is long. It'll be on Empty Cellar Records, which is the last one I went. It's a.
Is that just emptycellar.com or something, or how do you go to that?
I think just type in Empty Cellar Records, and they put out some really good music.
Did they put out your last album as well?
They did.
So the same label?
Yeah,
right.
They did.
Cool.
Yeah, local label. They put out some of the Cairo Gang's last album. They put that out, and some of Tim Cohen's stuff, and a bunch of really good stuff.
I'm looking forward to seeing the artwork on this one. I've only seen a little bit of the song tracks, but
so our friend from the Antelope Valley, because me and Mike have known each other for a long time, and we come from this weird place in the desert. But another friend did the artwork for the last album, and I asked him to do it again too now, and he lives in Missouri now, so I haven't talked to him forever, but I just asked him on the email to do the art again, and so it's really kind of special to keep it.
Cool.
And he understands the desert and kind of where I'm coming from, and so a lot of the pictures that he took are just empty lots, and some are in the desert, and some are where he's from, and kind of just is a really good match for the songs.
Very cool.
Kind of the album's kind of about a certain, partially about a certain time in my life when I was living in the first house I lived in, and in the garage all the time. So, some of the songs, there's pieces of them that are that I recorded on a Talkboy when I was in high school. So I kind of patch those together in some of the songwriting, to kind of
awesome. Yeah.
personalize it, So yeah, so it's, I don't know when it'll come out, but it'll come out.
And you've been playing some live shows in the Bay Area, haven't you?
A couple.
With some of this stuff?
Yeah. Playing live's not my favorite thing to do, but I like recording better. But but now that I have a band, it's less nerve-wracking getting up on stage and having to be the solo by yourself.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So and again, this is you on vacation coming out to New York, and the show and the wedding, and you played with us the other night as well at Mama Joy's.
Yeah.
That was really great. Everybody loved it. So what would you like to do? You want to get into some music, and then maybe we can ask you a couple more questions before we roll out, or?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah?
What would be the easiest thing
Or
to do?
whatever you feel is appropriate, whatever you want to do.
Okay.
We could do anything. Do you want to start with piano or guitar?
I'll start with the guitar.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you want to stand or sit? So we're going to set the mics up for you right now.
I can sit.
Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the live performance of Dylan Shearer. Thank you, Dylan, for coming out.
So I can. So this song's kind of. It's called Baggage Claim, and it's sort of about how. It's sort of like a mantra in a way, about just kind of your negativity and not being able to really escape it, but kind of a mantra to kind of remind yourself that not to hate yourself. So I thought it was kind of appropriate.
You will never see all around you. Hide in your disguise. You will torture you. Around you now. You'll never escape you, but always know not to wait now. Keep waiting for all the rain to come drown you now. You'll never escape you, but always know not to venture now. On the rain to come down on you.
Thank you. So just keep playing this next song? Okay. So this song I want to play because it's kind of tied into social services. It's about a client that I have that, pretty much from the beginning I met him, he's just miserable. And, he just always talks about how he just wants to die. And, it was kind of a hard thing to listen to sometimes, hearing somebody kind of at that point. But, the more I talked to him, the more I kind of realized that that's kind of what he needed, is to be able to just have somebody understand that, because that's something that's not very acceptable, And so I wrote this song kind of, partially with him in mind, and just kind of trying to identify with him and what he's going through, and just, as a witness to someone and their suffering, because he's suffered more than anybody I think I've ever known. And right now, actually, while I'm away, he's not doing so good. So he's kind of probably closer to that, and so it's just what that means. And but anyway, this song's called Encore Door.
Tie me up and walk away. There is nothing left to say. No more, leave me alone. You're not on my side. Oh, for now I won't answer be. Oh, for now I'm waiting. Oh, for now it's been so long that I wanted to go. Every hour will torture me. There is nothing left to say. You can understand what is me. Oh, over now I won't answer me. Over now I'm waiting. Over now it's been so long that I wanted to know. Little road, I'll let you go. Heaven alone will let go. Heaven alone, I'll let you go. Please let me go. I wanna go.
That's in the higher ranges that I have a hard time. Thanks. So maybe I'll switch to the piano now. Is that okay? Or do you want to take a break or? That's fine. Yeah. So yeah, me trying these songs is kind of a whim because I haven't practiced them for a while, but I felt like it would be nice to try to play them. So. The song's sort of about my grandma, who I went and saw a couple years ago. She was really sick and about to pass away, but I got to say goodbye to her. So then I made this song about that time that we spent.
You can go. You don't have to tightly grip the old worry. It's time to go. I have come to say goodbye to you. Dearly leave us to the flurry of snow and the blankets you have wrapped around us in the snow. One more time, you don't have to take the heavy door. Dearly, it's time to go. And I have to find this. Leave us to the flurry of snow.
I was gonna play part of that song anyway, but it's easy for me to mess that up. But okay, that's it. Portion of a song. But you get to see how the songs work that way. All right, one more piano song and then I'm done.
In the foam flooded town, trying not to picking strawberry bowl, looking on to we've arrived, but I don't know how. You can be real, but you are the most real. Sifting through picture joy, looking on the floor. And
I'm gonna stop it there too, but yeah. Anyways, thank you for bearing with that. So those both are on the new album, and there's two more parts to each of those songs, but I can't play them right now. So thank you.
All right, Dylan Shearer, yes. Do you want to talk to us more? Or are you done? Yeah, cool. Get back into formation here. That was really great, Dylan Shearer. I've known you a long time, Dylan. I remember watching you play piano when we were like 18 years old. In a garage.
Yeah.
And I remember rolling up to your house in Lancaster, and the garage would be a little bit open, and we could hear you playing. Fucking hours in that garage, man.
Yeah, that was my solace, because I had a really small house with my family, and me and my brother shared a room until I was like 16, and we had bunk beds.
Right.
So like the garage was kind of like the place that I could go and have solace from all everything else. So it was just like my place, and I was there all the time out there, like smoking cigarettes and hiding from my parents and doing my own thing and like listening to music really loud and sometimes homework and shit. But
Right.
But yeah.
But yeah, just playing that piano. I remember exactly what that piano looked like too. It was a little beat up, but it sounded amazing when you were sitting at it.
Yeah, had charm. It was actually an old piano that was from my like great grandpa or something like that.
Oh yeah, it was an old family piano.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So really great, man. So have you performed live, doing a live show on a piano?
No. That's why I figured, since it's a little less pressure, because.
Oh right, you said that. Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, super cool. I think you should. That'd be really great.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
There was some question of that last night at the wedding, right? But their pianos were totally detuned and.
Yeah, and they would have been like having to push them
Yeah.
huge ass piano across
Yeah.
like a giant old building. So yeah.
Yeah, very cool, man.
Yeah.
So now that you're mastering this album, are you already working on something? Do you already have material that you're working on for something else in the future, or?
I do, and actually, when I'm still kind of going back to all these old tape recordings that I did, when I was in high school, and trying to like. Pull
Yeah,
from that.
I remember you recording with that walk. What was it, Talk Boy?
Talk
or
Boy,
yeah.
Yeah, that's what we recorded. All
Yeah,
the
you
time.
must have like just hours and hours sitting around of old material, right?
Well, yeah, I used to now I'm a lot more, I compose my songs more. And back then I would just sort of improvise, and I would just like make pop songs on the fly.
Mhm.
So I have all these little, snippets of like parts of songs that like never really got put together.
Mhm.
So I just have all these recordings, like, I was just like keeping myself busy back then. So I want to go back there and kind of revisit them and just kind of like to kind of attune myself to try to understand what the hell I was going through back then.
Right. Yeah.
Because I like to try to personalize, stuff in a way, not too much so it doesn't apply to everybody, but
It's like a method of self-reflection too,
Yeah,
in some
yeah.
some way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've been kind of messing around with that.
Huh.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Man, my pleasure to have you on.
Yeah.
Dear brother Dylan.
Yeah. Thank you, Mike.
Have a good one, man.
Yeah.
No, give me a hug.
Okay.
That'll be calming. Yeah. Yay, Dylan Shearer performing live, playing with us on the Sulphurbath. It was super cool. Episode 1, I was like, oh man, I wonder what day we'll have Dylan Shearer on to play live.
Episode 1 of season 2.
So yeah, exactly. Well, we were sort of calling this season 2 before,
Yeah, it's a
because
joke.
last time we were like, seasons 1 is over
Yeah.
because we're going away for 1 week, and there's no seasons. What was seasons based on in television either? Like, oh, in the winter people aren't watching telly. Is that what that was about, or something?
I needed a break.
Or in the winter they were watching telly. Yeah. In summer it was like Hollywood goes on vacation. What's that? They were harvesting. Yeah. You grow your entertainment content all year, and then you harvest it right at the end of the year. Seasonal entertainment
They're
content.
out there harvesting DVDs of seasons.
Imagine. Hey, look, there's a picture of me sitting on Rod Serling's star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Huh?
Isn't that awesome?
We have to
People at
just-
home totally don't
you
see
insert
that.
into the show later?
No, but well, actually, maybe
Okay.
that'd be a funny moment. Cool, man. Yeah, that was really great. Dylan Shearer is amazing, man. Thank you so much for playing on the show with us and talking to us about your stuff. So, also, we didn't say a website or something. Do you have a SoundCloud or a BandCloud or a BandFace or whatever? Do you have one? Yeah. Yeah, Dylan. Google Dylan Shearer. DYLANSHEARER. And yeah, and the album Porch Puddles is still available, and Garage Array is about to be released, right? Yeah, we're all excited for that. It's super cool. On vinyl. Yeah, super cool. Garage Array coming out soon. And what's that label called again? Empty Cellar Records. And it's on iTunes too. Cool. Empty Cellar Records, Dylan Shearer, Garage Array. Super cool. That was totally a formal promo. Because I was like, I realized we said a lot of that stuff throughout the thing, but all piecemeal. And anyway, check it out, everybody at home. Dylan just played a little bit of his stuff, but you know, there's so much more. He's so prolific, and also the albums are recorded really, really well. So awesome. So yeah, moving right along. How are we doing?
We're doing all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm speaking as a collective.
Yeah, exactly. How are we doing? We are doing okay.
Yes.
So cool. Yeah, next guest is gonna be Craig Stokel. We got a photographer on the show. This is our first photographer we've had on the show.
Yeah, we've
Fine
had
arts
painters.
Mhm.
We've had, I guess, sculptures, inventor. I don't know what the
Yeah.
water swing was the last.
Yeah, waterfall
art-
swing set. That was amazing.
I
Yeah.
don't know what you call that. He's an artist though.
I would say conceptual
There's
sculpture, or you know.
multiple medium artists,
Mhm.
but this is the first photography, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm super pleased because we're going to get to see some amazing images. So, yes, we would like to welcome out Craig Stokel. Craig, please come join us.
Great.
Woo!
Yeah.
Thank you very much for being here tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, cool. Craig Stokel. So, I know you through Les and Lissa, who just got married yesterday.
Yes.
So, even though they're not here, of course, because they're getting whisked off to their honeymoon very soon, it's kind of been like a week build up to this wedding and all the people that the wedding brought together. And so last night we were talking in the celebrations of this wedding, and it was just like, oh, you should come on the show.
Why not?
And I remember after Les met you, he was telling me about your photography specifically, and I guess there was some series you did that was using car headlights in the night. And then
Yes.
So just briefly, as you were loading some stuff up, I saw we're going to get to see some of that stuff that I've heard about. So that's very cool.
Right.
Yeah. So where are you from, Craig? Are you from here originally in New
I'm
York?
from California, from Central California.
Oh, okay.
Fresno.
I wasn't making that connection. So many all the guests tonight were from California. So we got that going for us.
The Golden State.
Yeah, the Golden State. This is the Golden episode of
In the Empire State.
yeah, the Golden Empire. They don't have anything to do with each other, do they? Yeah, very cool. So you are a photographer. I just briefly saw some of the photos we're about to share in a bit. But can you go over kind of your methodology and what you use? Do you shoot just standard? Do you do digital, or do you have a specific method that you can talk
Well,
about?
so far the projects that I present are all film. I mean, I started photography when I think there was just a laboratory in Rochester that had a digital camera
Oh, I see.
in the 1980s or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But so film sort of started phasing out in the early 2000s.
Mm-hmm.
And so I still do film, but I'm not anti-digital.
Mm-hmm.
It just depends on the project. But everything we'll see today is film.
Okay, great.
And I started out just using the point and shoot cameras when I was a teenager,
Mm-hmm.
and then it evolved into the regular.
Like 110 film or whatever. It
No,
was.
it was still 35 millimeter.
Yeah, I gotcha.
But I
Cool.
know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
That camera, you could go like this.
Right.
And then when I moved to New York, I switched from 35 millimeter SLR to medium format, where
Very cool.
35 is that big. Medium format, one of them, the one I used is about that big.
Mm-hmm. And I saw
6
some of
by
those
7.
images looked like super clarity and super resolution. I was wondering if it was medium or large format.
Yeah, it's medium.
Yeah,
format.
very
That's
cool.
what does it.
Awesome. And is that what you use today? Is you still shoot that way, or?
Yeah, I mean, I have shot some. I have one series I've been doing for 25 years, and I'm still doing. We'll see it first, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And I recently did some photos for that in 35. I went back.
Mm-hmm.
So
Very cool.
I'm not rigid on the format.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of subjects do you take on? Anything in
That's
particular
a
that
good
you
question.
that you
Um,
focus on specifically?
I would say the subjects on the surface look like they're from different places, but in the end, they're about me remembering things, and it's like a humble, subtle story about wanting to be remembered, but not about me per se, but about us. You'll see the picture, so it's sort of like the universality of using oneself to share something. So I don't know if that makes sense, but
yeah, it reminds, it seems like legacy and about nostalgia or something.
Yeah, nostalgia would be one of the words.
You find it's like documenting something?
Yeah,
posterity?
but in some of the series, I'm in the photographs, and they're
It's like a
about.
selfie?
There's one of them. Well, the first two are self-portrait series, so in different formats. I'm sharing the stage with different things, and the first one it's post offices, and the second one it's with my brother.
Cool. Yeah, let's get into that, some of that imagery. So we're going to start showing and going through these, and as we can see them up here on the monitor and reference them, we can ask some questions about them. And how long have you been shooting? I mean, you said you had a point and shoot when you were in high school, but
yeah, this is 1988. I was on the eve of my 18th birthday, so I'm 17 there. And back then it was mostly, photography to me was snapshots, baby pictures, stuff like that, and Ansel Adams or people kissing in France or something. And so this story of how this project started, and I didn't know it was a project. I was only 17, and I didn't understand artistic methods. So I was in this town in California called Solvang, and it's a Danish town. It's
I've been to Solvang.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, totally. I love Solvang.
Michael Jackson had a house there.
And Taffy.
Yeah, and if anyone's seen the movie Sideways, I believe they mentioned.
Oh yeah, they go
Solvang.
to Solvang. Yeah.
So, I'm a quarter Danish. My great grandparents came from Denmark, and so I was excited to be there. I don't know why. It was probably a thematic town, and I wanted to capture it visually. So I thought, I'll find a building. I'll put my brother in front of it. I have a twin brother, and it just wasn't working. These buildings were sort of cute but ugly. Too many signs, and it just wasn't working. And then I was walking by the post office, and a light bulb went on my head, and I said, "This is it." And I said, "Brian, take a picture of me in front of the post office." My brother's Brian. And then I didn't need to take any more pictures of Solvang because I had captured it.
I see.
And so the bottom line there being that I just needed the name Solvang in the picture. And so it was accidentally, and I learned more later that it's sort of a punk rock way of showing that I was there. So this one is later when I was 19 in Oceanside, California. I sort of have I've actually am wearing a Sting t-shirt as if it's a heavy metal t-shirt.
Nice.
But I kept doing it. I actually, when I was in college, I studied filmmaking, and I wasn't doing it as often. But here's one after college when I'm in my about 30, and I just kept doing it every time I'd see a post office. I enjoyed photographing, and it ended up becoming this story about the passage of time, about 2 or 3 things actually. The passage of time of me, my hair's blonde, my hair's short, I'm awkward teenager, I'm a confident 30-year-old. I'm moving across America. And America, if you think about it, the post office is in the Constitution. And it's sort of symbolic. And it wasn't that I was aiming at that consciously, and then now the post office is sort of threatened. But it is this sort of strange uniting force, the slow communication that kept us. They wanted the information to flow when they started this country. They didn't want anyone to be able to not share.
Yeah.
But for me, it was, it's become this juxtaposition of remembering the passage of time in this completely banal way. That's
but at the same time, it's so intriguing, and like you say, it does link to so much of American history and the processing and delivering information, and and the specific architecture of it. It changes based on where you are.
Yeah, there's different phases. There's like the pre-World War II stuff that looks more like a city hall, and then the New Deal stuff. This would probably be a late New Deal or early 50s one. And now they try to make them look like retail stores.
Right.
But that's a sign of the time, so. And I rarely do it in front of those, not because of the architecture, but because for me it's very key that you see the name of the location.
Mm-hmm.
And going back to when I first took the picture, it's like tourism photo. It's about proving you were there.
Mm-hmm.
The next series is a series I did about living with my brother. I just want to show a picture of us when we were. I think this is when we're 11 years old. I have a twin brother, Brian, born on the same day. And you can go into the next one right away. But I moved in with him when I was 35, and it's not normal. I guess it's not that abnormal, but for adult brothers to live together. And this is before the economy went bad.
Right.
And I took this photograph. I'd gone back to art school, so I was being creative. And I took this photograph of him, and we were cuddling in bed. And I think this is one of these twin things where we at some point realized we could cuddle with each other, and it was okay. It wasn't weird.
Mm-hmm.
So I did this project about living with Brian again. It's called Living with Brian Again. And on the surface, it's about twin brothers living together. But again, it's just about a memorialization, a memory of I knew this wasn't going to happen again. We would eventually probably get married or move on with our lives.
Right.
But one of the funny things that happened was that I did not have a beard when the project started. And Brian said, "Hey, I'll shave off my beard if you want." And then I unconsciously started growing a beard to match him. But some of the pictures, we don't have to be in every photo together. It's not like Where's Waldo.
Did you take pictures of him because you're like, hey, that's me on the couch sleeping, and you take a photo and you just but
yeah,
it's him?
there's this interesting identity element to
Yeah.
it, right? Like the parallel identity, but I guess that's something about having a twin in general. Like seeing two of you in a room.
Yeah, I mean, you could sneak up on yourself.
Yeah, I think it honestly visually it works that way, but experientially it's never like that.
Yeah,
No, it
yeah,
wouldn't.
totally.
But I mean, to an outside viewer,
But
these look like self-portraits, but they're not.
Yeah, like
If
this
you're
one, for example.
him.
Like you're wearing, what? Actually, is that you on the right?
I'm on the right, yes.
Okay, so you're wearing the coat with the lighter blue shirt, and he's got the lighter blue sleeves with the chest is darker
Right,
blue.
right. And that's all accidental, but
Oh yeah.
well, like anything in especially photography or even an art show, it's editing ends up doing these weird things like this. But yeah, no, you're right. There's this uncanniness about twins. I finally I worked with a twin, and I didn't see his brother, and his brother came into the room. It was very strange. But being a twin is not as strange as seeing twins,
Yeah. Interesting.
because I only see him.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
see
exactly.
myself with him.
Yeah.
I mean, I know. Who
But
he is.
that's the act that you're taking in creating some of these photos, right? You're seeing the two of you together.
Yeah, it was.
like
it was
that.
yeah,
Mhm.
it was funny to see us together. And then I moved to New York, and I decided to do this series. I'd always had these dreams about the night and tunnels, and it was inspired sort of by Looney Tunes and Roadrunner. But I've always found the nighttime to be very seductive. You hear the crickets, depending on where you grew up,
Yeah.
and you sort of want to go out there and see what's going to happen, but you know something bad might happen. So I'm seduced and afraid of the night. And so I took this picture, and it felt like that road was, and I'm using the car lights that you mentioned earlier. The road is sort of saying, come hither, but at the same time, you know, it's probably not a good idea. At the very least, your car would get a flat tire. You might break your leg.
There's always that sense of danger, too, when places are only lit by headlights.
Yeah.
There's the fear, because if those lights go off or you walk out of range, there's only a certain distance of visibility that you get from those headlights.
Right, right.
And then you're in no man's
And it's
land.
so directional too, right? It's like there's this huge peripheral vision outside of what the photo here that is unknown.
Yeah.
It implies that unknown in the peripheral.
It's I'm in a way the lights are coming from where the camera is, where the viewer is, where the photographer is, and so in a way my presence is sort of there, just not in a literally two-dimensionally. But for me, in a way, this was a more complicated and simple project, because it was more of a psychological interior space where the post office on first blush was about just proving I was there, but then it became about aging and time.
Mhm.
The second one was about the uncanniness and strangeness of living with your brother that looks exactly like you.
Mhm.
And then this was about being inside my own head and
And-
being sort of an indirect autobiography of my relationship with the night.
Hmm. And the images themselves are beautiful. I mean, I know it's difficult when you're shooting in low light and to control light and darkness, and these are really great. Like the one right before this, where you could see the light in the sky as well. This
Right,
one,
right.
this next one that's coming up too, you can see the sky as well as the image on the street, and
And
so haunting. There's something about the light that's playing out when it's so unnatural. There's no sun, and
right, and they're very long exposures. I mean, between like 4 to 10 minutes.
oh yeah,
And
Mhm.
so that's at nighttime, and those glowing lights in the distance is actually a distant city. That it would never look like that when you're there. It's just
Mhm.
that.
What- What kind of ISO are you shooting on something like that?
Oh, normally I'm shooting 400 or 800 film.
Mm-hmm.
So. But oh, and these are all the 3 projects together, side by side over time.
Yeah.
We're about to see.
We're about to see
the post
yeah.
office photos
Mhm.
with the twin photos, and then
Right.
the
So this next one
nighttime.
it kind of illustrates the different themes when they're collected together.
Do you have it
There
as
they
a
are.
collection?
Pardon?
Do you have it as a collection presented?
Yeah, I've actually had shows of the twin stuff and then the night photography, but I've never actually had an official exhibition of the post offices. But I'm still doing that. And another
Oh, cool.
series that I'm doing is I do every 2 years a photograph of everyone I know. Okay, it's not
What do you
everyone
mean,
I know.
everyone you know? Yeah.
Everyone I can find and invite that
Oh,
I've
okay.
met. So I started this in 1999.
Oh, that's cool.
And I do it every 2 years. Every year when I was 29 started to feel a little too common and regular. So it's basically like a class photo from school. So this one is from 2001, and this one is in New York in 2011.
But this is your own doing. It's not a class of graduates. This is the people I know.
No, like, Mike, you're invited.
Yeah. Oh, cool. You totally
Everyone
know
here
me.
is invited
Yeah.
now.
Awesome. And what does it say on the sign at the bottom in front of you?
It says Craig Stokel's social photo 2011.
Nice.
So that also ties in with the sort of memorialization, memory, and but I'd like to do it in a low key way because I don't want people to think it's about me.
Yeah.
So, and right now I'm doing a series on tour buses, double-decker tour buses in New York. That's one of my second jobs. So.
And this is you do like your tourist information, like in
Yeah,
your
you're just talking about New York City and floating around the city. So this is more of a pure documentary approach.
I always thought that was a fascinating job to have. So you research and you learn the history of the city, and you're sharing it with tourists that come and look around the city as they're looking at the things.
Yeah, yeah.
And to
And so-
document them.
So
it's funny because tourists are always shooting the city. But to shoot
exactly.
the tourists is
Yeah.
interesting,
Uh-huh.
and have them be the subject.
And I've done the this one's a more in its incubatorial phase, but there's the one there of a fellow tour guide.
Oh, like this is an ongoing project?
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
But you're seeing it in progress. It's not edited or anything.
Oh, okay.
So
It's very interesting because also like seeing your hometown, or not your hometown, but your local city that you live through the eyes of the tourists constantly. Like that shot over the shoulder of the guy taking the picture of Central Park or wherever that is.
yeah.
And yeah, just secondhand, indirect viewing of the city.
Well, there is exactly. There's this remove, but it's also ethereal. You're floating above the city.
Right. On a double-decker bus,
If
it's
you've
way
never
taller
been
than,
on a
yeah.
double-decker bus, open-air double-decker bus, I don't care where it is.
Uh-huh.
That first moment, at least for me,
Uh-huh.
it feels magical.
Yeah.
Now it doesn't feel magical anymore. It's still special in a weird way. And
Where's that? Is that on the Hudson there? Or?
yeah, that is on the Hudson. That's on Riverside Drive. As it's going over 125th Street.
Cool.
So you can see. No, you can't see any. I don't know what that tower in the back is, but that's sort of near Grant's tomb. You might be able to see Grant's tomb straight at the back. So.
Yeah, very, very cool stuff. I love the resolution and the quality of all the images look really great, too. This is medium format here, this
Yeah,
stuff?
that is. Yeah.
Yeah, really high quality. The color depth and everything, and the resolution looks amazing. Very cool. And so,
How do you know when you're done a series?
That's a really good question.
Thanks.
You have to. Sometimes a deadline helps.
Okay, yeah, I find that too.
And also, I imagine writers that you've had on. I don't know if you've had writers on.
yeah, a few.
They deal with some of the same thing.
Mhm.
You can keep editing forever, but then nobody will ever see it.
Yeah, you have to
Um,
make the conscious decision.
So
yeah.
you basically edit, switch it around, which photo's this, and share it with other people that you trust their opinion,
Mhm.
and get feedback, and then ideally, like with the post office one, I'm still doing it, but I may do a show of it soon. If something comes together, I would show it, but then I can show it again
Mhm.
in 10 more years.
Yeah,
or
as it's
something like
ongoing,
that.
it cultivates and changes as it goes.
Yeah, it's a
and-
different kind of project. It doesn't have an ending
Mhm.
really until I die.
yeah. That's
Where the
fascinating.
other ones had an ending. So
Hmm. And it suggests something about its inherent incompleteness too, right?
right. Interestingly, when I started the night one, I was mostly photographing down roads, and people were telling me, "Hey, but these are great, but what else can you do?" And so I started pointing the car lights in other directions, and it gave it what ultimately made it work was it gave it a little more visual variation and
Mhm.
drama, so that I didn't just get lazy after a while
Mhm.
for the viewer.
How do you decide where you want to point the camera? Meaning, like rather than just down the road if you turn off. Where do you
Right,
decide?
right.
Where do you decide it's a good turn off?
I mean, I would do it intuitively. As far as the general locations, I would look where there were a lot of forests. But not every photo required a forest. I mean, and I photographed a dirt curb on Highway 1, and there was a drainage tube that looked sort of intimidating, but it's sort of like a tunnel. And I just photographed that with the headlights on it. And so it looked like a miniature version of a hillside with a tunnel going through it.
Mm.
But when you look at it, it just looks peculiar.
And it's such a strange version of lighting something too, right? Like using headlights of a car, which are very specific, high beams for a certain
Right, right.
thing, a
And
certain spread in front at 20 feet in front of you or whatever.
In that particular series, there's no people in them, so the scale is a little.
Yeah,
It's hard to read too because you don't
It's-
know the size of things. Whereas you or your brother, or you in a post office, you know the scale. But when
Exactly.
there's no reference, no frame of reference to measure by, it is a little more otherworldly too, like a lunar landscape, that kind of thing.
I did experiment with people, but I found it didn't work. I wanted it to be, it's sort of the night photographs are like a Rorschach test.
Mm.
Are you going to see the beauty? Are you going to be scared? Or are you going to feel both?
Mm.
Or you'll just see nothing
Yeah.
or everything.
Yeah, and the mystery behind it, it suggests like, you're in a car and you have headlights because you're on your way somewhere, but you haven't gotten there yet. And yet it's nighttime and you're in the forest.
You'll
and
never get there.
There's this, maybe you'll never
yeah,
get there, right?
exactly.
Yeah. There's this mystery, this subconscious element. It's like, there's something spooky here. We're lost in the woods, and
And someone was asking me, well, what was I inspired by? I mean, the one thing that I would say inspires me the most on that series would be the Kubrick's Monolith in 2001:
Oh,
A Space
cool.
Odyssey,
Huh?
because it says nothing, but it says everything.
Yeah. And it's just so intimidating and foreboding. And
Yeah. So that's what I feel like the night is
Mhm.
this sort of mirror to your own fears and curiosity.
Hmm. And there's also one hovering over Jupiter as well, as buried
Right,
in,
right,
in
and
the
in
earth.
a
Yeah.
Somebody's bedroom as well.
Yeah, someone's weird bedroom and on the moon, and yeah, super cool. Yeah, I love the stuff, the photography. We look forward to seeing more stuff in the future. Is there a website or something that people at home can go through and look through some of your images?
Yeah,
or-
I have a website. It's my name, CraigStokel.com. So that's CraigStokele.com.
Cool. Yeah. Check out CraigStokel.com for more images from Craig. Craig, thank you so much
Great,
for
thanks
joining
for
us. Yeah,
having me.
super cool.
man. Thank
Yeah,
you.
awesome. And hopefully stick around. We're going to do a little jam in a second if you want to join us for some music. So yeah, very very cool. This has been episode 13 of Inside the Sulphurbath, and it's wrapping up a couple of really awesome weeks. I think this will be one of the special episodes that goes down in the libraries and archives of all the time capsules throughout all the planets. And how about you?
Yeah, I believe that also.
Yeah, you think that too?
Yeah, and we're gonna send it in a time capsule to Jupiter.
Yeah.
For generations to come.
Mm-hmm.
For all the kids.
Did you know the rings of Saturn, although they're like at points thousands of miles wide, they're only like on average like 30 feet thick? Like if you're looking sideways at the rings of Saturn, it's like 30 feet.
If you build a giant needle, you could play it like a record.
Yeah, man, that's what I'm talking about. That's what the International Space Station should be doing, man. It's like, quit wasting your time. Like, oh my God, what would the sound be?
Let's just launch the space.
Would it have to be, Dvorak or some, classical like?
Yeah, wouldn't that be great if it was Danube?
Yeah, it's the Blue Danube. Oh man,
How did he know?
How did he know? That's amazing. Awesome. So yeah, well, it's been very cool. It's been a good run. I hope we continue to have many more shows into the future.
Sweet.
Eventually, we'll be at episode 25, right? Which is when we're going to get everybody back.
You almost went a whole episode without saying, pretty soon we'll have done 100 of these things.
Pretty soon we will have.
And you say it every episode.
Yeah, was pretty true.
Yeah. We're up to 13. And then the 25th, big jamboree.
Big jamboree. Can you imagine? We'll have 25 guests back. Wait, 25 shows times 3 sometimes. So if we can get like 70 people.
58 people.
That's more than 57 for sure. I'll tell you that.
Check that.
But if we could run around the room with microphones and just be like interviewing all the people that like, oh, you were on the show before, yeah, how's your redacted text, Justin Petropoulos, boom.
Yeah.
And then go through all the groups of people that have been. Oh, there's Maggie. I'm so scatterbrained today. So yeah, I think that would be really great. And then have the jam session in the end only with 70 people. How cool would that be?
Big one.
Yeah, most people would have like a kazoo or whatever, but.
Yeah. Rent out Carnegie Hall.
Carnegie Hall, one of these days, mark our words. So anyway, thank you for joining us for episode 13. We're going to start a little improvised jam, and everybody's going to take their places, and we're going to do a little improvised music thing.
See what we get.
And see what we get, right?
Some fun.
So we're going to move some mics around. Thank you, everybody. I really want to thank our guests tonight. So Colleen Russell, James Hughes, thank you guys so much for sharing all of your information with us. Kid Quest is awesome, and you guys are really doing some amazing stuff for the world. I think it's great. Craig Stokel, your photographs are amazing, and thanks for sharing them with us. And yeah, again, we want you on the future. And Dylan, such a cool performance, man. It was really great having you. So Dylan Shearer. I hope everybody checks out the links that are going to be on the archive and checks out all you guys' work. So, all right, so we're going to jam, and everybody have a good night. Thanks, Greg Becker. Is this mic on? You guys got me? Yeah? Cha? Cha? Thank you, Fumio Tashiro. Awesome. That little jam session was led by Fumio Tashiro on bass. He's really amazing. And Greg Becker on trumpet. Thank you, James Hughes. You're picking up drums on that. That was really great. Blaine Kneece, guitar is awesome as always. Craig Stokel, the bell, and some drums with me. That was awesome. And some organ. And I want to thank Miho Morita for doing the camera work and everything tonight. And our guests, Colleen Russell, James Hughes, thank you very much again. Dylan Shearer, thanks for the performance, it was amazing. And Craig Stokel, thanks for sharing your photographs. So, again, awesome, super cool show. Thank you, everybody. Episode 14 is coming up next week. Awesome. Good night.